Welcome to Pennsylvania in Focus. I'm Eliana Kernodle. County boards of elections across Pennsylvania are preparing for November, but warn that more support would help them get the job done quicker, while state laws hamstring their effort. Joining me with more on this story is the Center Square's Pennsylvania editor, Kristen Smith. Kristen, what are the state laws at play here?
Pennsylvania has a pretty broad mail-in voting law that was passed back in 2019, just months before the 2020 election and before the pandemic. So that's an important fact to keep in mind as far as the context of this entire situation goes. But we have 67 counties in Pennsylvania, and running elections is largely a county effort. There's just not a lot of interference or involvement from the state. So 67 counties, theoretically, and according to county officials, 67 different ways to run the election. What that can mean for voters is that sometimes counties will tell you if your mail-in ballot is invalid for whatever reason. Did you forget the secrecy envelope? Is it misdated? Is there a signature missing or that doesn't match properly? And so then voters will have a chance to correct that before the election. But other counties won't tell you, and so you won't find out that your ballot wasn't counted until election day when it's too late. And so that's just one big example of how counties are making different choices when it comes to counting these ballots. There's also the struggle that because of the way our law is set up, election officials can't pre-canvass ballots before 7 a.m. on election day. And what that means is that they can't prepare mail-in ballots to be counted. And because of the volume of mail-in ballots that Pennsylvania has, this really delays our results because they have to spend so much time preparing the ballots, taking them out of the envelope, verifying all these signatures and dates, and actually sending them through the machines to be counted. So that can take a long time. Meanwhile, there's, election officials who are actually having to run the in-person voting. So they describe it as two simultaneous elections happening at once, and it requires a lot of resources, a lot more than counties generally have from a manpower issue and a financial resource perspective. So there are, those are just a few of the examples of the way that the mail-in voting law has really complicated counties' jobs here. And so legislators are very cognizant that this is a problem and that they want to fix it. But those agreements have been out of reach because of the highly partisan nature of election rhetoric in the last 4 years.
There are some possibilities for changes with court cases that are in the process right now. What's the story there?
So one such legal challenge that's been settled by Commonwealth Court at this point, so it could still be appealed to the Supreme Court, but that court told Washington County officials that they need to notify voters of ballot errors because county commissioners had decided against doing that. And like I said before, there are counties that don't do that. So at least in this case, Washington County has been told to do, which perhaps may set a precedent for other counties, although that has not happened yet. Election officials say one very simple thing they could do is just allow pre-canvassing. This would, at least pre-canvassing of 5 days, it would just give them the opportunity to get results quickly. It would instill trust. Election officials and, some advocates for pre-canvassing and other changes to the mail-in voting law are saying that when you start taking more than, a day or so to count mail-in ballots, people are getting really concerned. It makes them start asking questions. They would love to see Pennsylvania become more like Florida. They have pre-canvassing weeks in advance. So, I'm sure voters have noticed on election nights, they have their results fairly quickly. And given the history of elections in the state of Florida and the political nature of it even now, Pennsylvania advocates really think that the state could do well to follow in their footsteps.
Well, Kristen, thank you for your insights on the story. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.